Hello everyone. Yesterday we defined conditional expectation. We saw that conditional expectation is defined in terms of the properties that it should satisfy. So it's any function which satisfies certain properties. Correct? So today we'll study a few more properties of conditional expectation. Yesterday we did see some properties which are common to our usual like marginal expectation and this conditional expectation. Today we will see some properties which are not there in case of marginal expectation. Okay, so I'm not continuing numbering from yesterday, so we'll start with a new numbering. So the first property that I would like to state is if x is a script D measurable random variable, if x is a script D measurable random variable with finite expectation, then expectation of x given D becomes same as x almost surely. Okay, now let us try to understand what this property exactly means. So x is a demeasurable random variable means that given D, x becomes completely known. If you would like to see the proof, I would suggest just go back to the definition of conditional expectation that we had. So how to prove this? See, we defined conditional expectation as any function which satisfies certain properties. And what were those properties? First of all, expectation of means whatever conditional expectation we define, it should be demeasurable. So here x is demeasurable because that is given part. Okay, and the second condition was integral of that conditional expectation whatever it is with respect over any set A in script D should be same as integral x dp. Now because we are saying integral x dp, if I put x here, this is obviously going to match. So as soon as x becomes demeasurable, x itself becomes conditional expectation of x. Okay, another way to look at this is x is demeasurable, so given D, x kind of becomes known. Okay, and hence x itself is conditional expectation. But remember, you have to write this almost surely because both these are now random variables, so they may be differing over a small set whose probability is 0. Hence this almost surely is important. Okay, so this is one of the important properties of conditional expectation. Second property is if x is independent of D, if x is independent of script D, then conditional expectation of x is same as marginal expectation of x. Okay, we have seen this property when we discuss independence of two random variables. So if x and y are independent of each other, then we know that expectation of x given y becomes same as expectation of x, because since they are independent, whatever is known about y, that doesn't change anything about what we know about x. Okay, here we are saying x is independent of D. So we are talking about a random variable being independent of a sigma field. So how do you define that? If you recall your probability theory definition, a random variable would have its own sigma field, correct? So you will have a sigma field which is generated by a random variable. So if that sigma field is independent of script D, then we would say that the random variable is also independent of script D. And in such case, we are saying that conditional expectation is same as the marginal expectation. Okay, and the marginal expectation is constant, so of course it is measurable with respect to any sigma field. Again, if you recall probability theory, a constant random variable is measurable with respect to the trivial sigma field phi and omega, and because trivial sigma field is subset of any other sigma field, a constant random variable would be by constant random variable I mean a degenerate random variable would be measurable with respect to every sigma field. So this is measurable with respect to script D also. Okay, so expectation of x is measurable with respect to script D. Is it okay? Okay, and how do you prove this second property? That integral of expected x dp over a, we want it to be same as integral of x dp over a. Okay, so how do I prove this? Now we know that integral over any subset of omega, when I want to write, I can write that integral as integral over complete omega, but by adding indicator function. So this I can write as integral over omega expected x into indicator of a dp, because outside a this would become 0, so I don't have to worry. Okay, similarly right hand side becomes integral x indicator a dp over omega. Is it okay? And now we know that expectation of x is anyway constant, so it would come outside, and integral of indicator a is nothing but probability of a. Okay, so far integral of indicator a would be probability of a, so left hand side is this, and on right hand side now this becomes definition of expectation of x into indicator of a. Correct, because integral over omega of anything with respect to this probability measure becomes expectation of that thing. And just now we are saying is, what we are saying is x is independent of script d. If x is independent of script d and if a is an element of script d, a is coming from script d, then x and indicator of a would also become independent. Okay, because indicator of a is a random variable which is measurable with respect to script d. Correct. So this becomes expectation of x into expectation of indicator of a, and this becomes expectation of x into expectation of indicator of a is probability of a. So we are getting left hand side equal to right hand side. Okay, hence we have proved that expectation of x satisfies both the necessary properties of conditional expectation. Hence if x is independent of d, then expected x given d is same as expected x. Of course, intuitively also, if x is independent of d, its expectation won't get affected even if d becomes known, and hence it remains constant. Okay, so this is second property of conditional expectation. We will study one more property. So I think this must have given you a fair idea of why you need probability theory. Okay, we are heavily using results from probability theory here. Now, in the third property, let us define script D as a sigma field consisting of A complement, omega and phi. So just the 4 sets. Okay. Then, if I call expectation of x given D as y, then the claim is y takes only 2 values. Why? Again, from the definition of conditional expectation, expectation of x given D would be measurable with respect to D. So y is going to be measurable with respect to D. And if you recall your probability theory results, any random variable which is measurable with respect to such a sigma field which consists of only 2 non-trivial sets, omega and phi are trivial sets. So only 2 non-trivial sets, then that random variable will have only 2 possible values. Why? Because your definition of measurability says that inverse image, so y inverse of b should be in script D for every b from script B, correct? So this means that every Borel set can be classified into 4 types. Okay, so one type is where the inverse image is A, second type is where the inverse image is a complement, third type is where the inverse image is omega, and fourth type is where inverse image is phi. Phi, of course, we know is inverse image of phi. Okay, but is it inverse image of something else? So if suppose y takes two values, let's say a and b, and this value it takes whenever omega is in a, and this value it takes whenever omega is in a complement, okay, then inverse image of any Borel set which contains a would become capital A, correct? So y inverse of b would become a if small a belongs to that particular b. It would become a complement if small b belongs to that particular b. Here of course this shouldn't happen. Okay, I'm going a bit fast because you have already done these things in probability theory. So if you're not clear, please go and read back your probability theory notes. And this becomes omega when a and b both belong to b, and it becomes phi when a and b both don't belong to b, means neither a nor b. Is it okay? So y takes only two possible values because it is measurable with respect to such a sigma field. And what are those two possible values? Can we say something about those two possible values? So we can use the properties of conditional expectation that we have. So because now it takes only two possible values, let me write it as a into indicator of a plus b into indicator of a complement, correct? It becomes a simple random variable, and hence integral y dp over a is integral aia plus bia complement over into dp over a is in script d. So indicator of a complement is going to be 0, so this simply becomes ia dp over a. So this is nothing but probability of a, correct? And by the definition of conditional expectation, we know that y is this, right? This is how we have defined y. Y is expectation of x given d. And by definition of conditional expectation, we know that this integral should be same as integral x dp over a. Okay. Therefore, value of a is 1 upon probability of a integral x dp over a. Okay. And similarly, you can work out that for small b, value is 1 upon probability of a complement integral over a complement of x dp. Okay. So conditional expectation takes only two values, and these are the two values that it takes. Is it okay? Okay. Let us now study one more property. I said yesterday that we are used to defining conditional expectation given a random variable. So let me formally state how we define that. So let script d is equal to sigma y. Now this y has nothing to do with the y in property 3. Okay, this y is any random variable. Okay, where y is some random variable. So script d is a sigma field generated by y. Then in such a case, expectation of x given d can also be denoted by expectation of x given y. Okay. So if script d is a sigma field generated by some random variable, then conditional expectation of x given d could be written as conditional expectation of x given that random variable. Okay. And of course, you know how to compute this conditional expectation. You have that formula. Okay, so you first compute PDF as joint upon marginal, and then using that joint upon marginal PDF thing, you can compute conditional expectation using either integral or sum, depending on which whether you have a continuous variable or a discrete variable. Okay, so these were some of the important properties of conditional expectation. Now there is one more very important property of conditional expectation. It is known as Tower property of conditional expectation. It's a very important property and it is used at many places. Okay. So, what is a Tower property of conditional expectation? Let me first state the property and then we will try to understand what it is and try to prove it. Okay. So, let omega script fp be a probability space. Omega script fp be a probability space and x be a random variable defined on this probability space. Defined on omega script fp. Of course with finite expectation. Okay. Further, let script d1 and script d2 be two sub-sigma fields of f such that d1 is subset of d2. So basically d1 is a smaller sigma field, d1 is a sub-sigma field of both d2 and f, and d2 is a sub-sigma field of f. Then in such a scenario, expectation of x given d2 given d1 is same as expectation of x given d1, which is same as expectation of x given d1 given d2. Okay. So let us try to see what is meant by what is happening here. So here I have kind of double expectation. So conditioning is on d2 and d1. Here also same scenario, just the order is reversed. And we are saying that both these things are equal to this. So irrespective of whether you condition on d1 first or d2 first, what remains is just conditioning on d1. Okay. So this property is also known as smaller sigma field wins. Okay, that way it is easier to remember. Smaller sigma field wins. D1 is the smaller sigma field. So when you condition with respect to two sigma fields, irrespective of the order, whether you do d1 given d2 or d2 given d1, finally what remains is conditional expectation given the smaller sigma field. Okay. So let us try to prove this Tower property. One part of this is very easy to prove. So can you guess which part would be easy to prove? So we have to actually prove two things. This one equality and this is the second equality. We need to prove these two equalities, right? So consider the second equality first. So we need to prove that expectation of x given d1 given d2 is same as expectation of x given d1. Okay. So how should I proceed? We have to use all the properties of conditional expectation that we have. Now if I focus on this part, expectation of x given d1, we know by definition is d1 measurable. This is definition. Okay. And we also know that d1 is subset of d2. So if this is d1 measurable, it becomes d2 measurable also. Correct. This implies that it is d2 measurable also. And if it is d2 measurable, then we saw today in the first property that it simply comes outside. So it simply comes outside the expectation and we get this as the final answer. Is it okay? Because it is d2 measurable, if you want, if you feel it is easier, if you find notations complicating, let me call it y. So now what I know is y is d1 measurable and hence it is d2 measurable. And if y is d2 measurable, then expectation of y given d2 is same as just y. And y is nothing but this. Okay. So we have already proved the second part. Now we have to prove the first part, which is slightly difficult. It's not very difficult. We just have to again use the properties of conditional expectation, nothing else. Okay. So now expectation of x given d1 is d1 measurable, again by properties. And the second property says that integral of that over any set A of script D will be same as integral x dp A. So this is true for every A in script D1. Okay, so far? I am just writing the property of expectation, nothing else. Okay. Now, if a set A is in D1, then because D1 is subset of D2, A is in D2 also. Okay, this particular A. Those A's which are in D1, they are in D2 also. So, what can I say about them? I can say that expectation of x given d2 dp over that A would be same as integral x dp over that A, and I am saying this is true for every A in D1 because I am worried about only that. Okay, I am worried about only every A in D1. Because every A in D1 is also in D2, this also holds. Okay. So, what do I get from these two? Let me give them numbers. So, this is 1. Okay, let me give Roman numbers. This is Roman 1, this is Roman 2. So, comparing these two, what I know is expectation of x given d1 dp over every A would be same as integral expectation of x given d2 dp over A for every A in D1. Okay, let me call this 3. Okay. Now, what else do I know? I know something further also. See, let us consider this expectation of x given d2 given d1. Okay, just for convenience, let me call this as y. So this is expectation of y given d1. So this is now conditional expectation with given d1 of some random variable y. Okay, so again by properties of conditional expectation, integral expectation of y given d1 dp over A is same as integral y dp over A for every A in d1. So I am using the same property of conditional expectation but now for y. And what is y? If I substitute, it becomes expectation of x given d2 given d1 dp over A is same as y's expectation of x given d2 dp over A. Okay, so let me call this equation 4. And now if I consider 3 and 4, right hand sides are equal. Because right hand sides are equal, I can equate the left hand sides, and by equating the left hand sides I would get integral expectation of x given d2 d1 dp over A is same as expectation of x given d1 dp over A, and this is true for every A in d1. Okay, and now we are almost towards the end of the proof. See, again by properties of conditional expectation, this integrand is d1 measurable and this integrand is also d1 measurable. So both of them are d1 measurable and integral of them is equal to each other for every A in d1. So in such a case, the integrands actually become equal. Okay, so by properties of integration, if integration of random variables, if two random variables have equal integration over every set from a sigma field, and if they both are measurable with respect to that sigma field, then the integrands become equal. So expectation of x given d2 given d1 is same as expectation of x given d1. This is the part we wanted to prove, right? Let us confirm once. Yes, d2 given d1. That is the part we wanted to prove, part 1. Okay. Of course, we have to write almost surely everywhere because these are all random variables. We cannot forget that. Okay. Let me write almost surely. Earlier also I should write almost surely. Where did I prove the first part? Yes. So here also I should write almost surely. Okay. So this is the Tower property of conditional expectation. The proof of part 1 of this equality is slightly lengthy, but if you have noticed, we are not using any special tricks. We are simply applying the properties of conditional expectation repeatedly to different random variables. Okay. So even if you find it a bit difficult, just be patient, go through it once again, twice, thrice, write the steps down, and I'm sure you'll get explanation for each and every step. Okay. So let me stop here. Thank you.